WoW Killer is a production of amove.tv. Check out Amove TV for many more podcasts, multiple about Blizzard games. And for more of Taliesin's WoW coverage, check out Taliesin and Evitel on YouTube and Twitch.tv. Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is WoW Killer. I am here. I'm Garrett, as always, with Taliesin.
Hello. People think they can't hear me, but they can, because we've been having some technical problems, and now everyone thinks that anything that's happening on the show, it doesn't work. We've had lots of technical problems in the big build-up to this live stream of the recording of the show. Obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, that's fine. You've experienced none of this, nor will you, my protected species. You're absolutely fine. Don't forget, you're the important ones. You're the important ones. The podcast. Screw these guys watching live. They're not important. Who cares about them? No, we don't care about them. Sometimes we say we do, but we don't. You can see it in our eyes. You can't because you're listening on the podcast. But the people who are watching live, the ones who don't matter, they can see it. They can see it in our eyes. They can tell that we don't care about them. The devastation in our eyes. We look straight through them. Kind of like look just over them a little bit. We don't care. You're the ones we care about, and no problems for you. Welcome.
Podcast listeners as a protected species is going to kill me the more I think about it this episode as I go along. Oh my god, just imagine somber piano music plays and someone with earbuds in a coffee shop is shown looking kind of sad and dour, and Sarah McLachlan comes on screen and goes, "Here we see the lowly podcast listener. Their numbers are dwindling with the advent of YouTube and live streaming. For only one sub a day, you can save the podcast listener." Maybe a new true crime podcast that your cousin and your mother-in-law gets into will come along and lift their spirits with another podcast you're sick about hearing.
For just £5 a month, you can pay two white dudes to sit at home and give you their opinions. Listen, they're going to say something. They're talking about comic book movies now.
Yes.
The kind of insight only we can give you. Welcome, WoW Killer listeners, to WoW Killer. This is your job. You should be doing this bit. Say hello.
Well, part of our tech issues today is I can't see you, so I'm not always sure about when it's okay for me to start speaking again. But yeah, welcome everybody. We're back with this episode of WoW Killer. We're going to be talking World of Warcraft. We're going to be talking all sorts of things today. Sorry we missed you last week. Had a little bit of an emergency pop-up, but we're all okay. We're all still alive, I think.
Oh, I am.
Well, that's good. I am as well. I
thought maybe there's a way I can spin this to kind of like, make a joke about maybe I'm not. But no, I definitely am. There's no denying it. I'm absolutely.
I mean, it could be a ghost coming to me through the interwebs. I mean, we are again in the Shadowlands, so death is. Well, it's just a construct of this.
It's all relative.
Of this expansion, yeah. Death is it's merely a setback.
And before we get into today's subject, a very fitting subject, I feel, after the problems we had starting this show, which is now an hour late, don't worry about it, is Warcraft in general, Shadowlands, because, the patch is essentially over now, as we were talking about last time. We've had a whole other week with no show to be kind of getting into it. You completed your Covenant campaign, you finished all that, you're up to date completely. So now, what's the kind of groove that you're into in Shadowlands at the moment?
At the moment, it's I'm eyeing up alts for the first time because I'm getting burnt out on the grind.
So you decided to introduce another grind on a different character. You're like,
pretty much.
There's too much grind in Shadowlands. What I need to do is have two of it.
Yeah, I'm like, I crested like eye level 200 on my warrior, and it's just like, well, I'm not really gonna push like mythic or anything, so I'm kind of happy where that character's at. Also, I feel like I'm working really hard for not a lot of damage return because warrior is still in a shite place as far as damage is concerned in this expansion.
Although Fury is creeping up on the charts for Castle Fury.
Fury is creeping up, and that. Thank you for reminding me of that, because I did just take a little bit of a break from life for my birthday. You and I both have January birthday. Happy birthday, sir! On the
Happy
actual
birthday,
recorded
Garrett.
podcast.
Hi, well done.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
not
We
just
are
during the
both of us.
pre-show.
Oh, this can't be overstated. We are both of us a year older now than we were in the last episode of this podcast. How's that?
Yes,
and
we are.
Looking every single day of it, if I might.
Yeah, oh yeah. Look at these bags under my eyes. It's great. No, I'm not high, chat room. This is just what I look like now. Getting back to it. Thank you for reminding me of that, though, because on my break, I kind of forgot about that fact, but was looking at damage meters and whatnot, and I was like, oh damn, look at Fury. So maybe I have one more project on the Warrior, which is to find another impossible weapon drop, so that I can have two mediocre weapons instead of just one. So that I can do the Fury thing.
Sorry for dual wielders in BFA, and I feel even more sorry for dual wielders in Shadowlands. It's a tough break, man. Tough gig.
I want to say I think I still only have a 185 weapon, and I definitely only have one of them.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
rough. For just £5 a day.
Yeah, everything else is 200 or higher, and the weapon is just sitting there going, oh, I'm sorry, you wanted an upgrade?
Mate, you know what you've got to do.
Cute.
You know what you need to do to get like the weapon. You got to do what everyone else does. Get into PvP. Get into some rated PvP, and then you get to just buy your weapon using Valor and Conquest and Valor.
Maybe.
And then you whack it up with, that's what all the cool kids are doing. That's what
You're
I'm
doing a really good job of explaining why I might be considering just looking at another class entirely. Because if I'm gonna have to work this hard to get gear,
PvP. Don't you PvP?
I would rather not also work hard.
PvP. You call yourself a warrior, and you're not even a PvPer. If I was a warrior, I'd be PvPing right now. I'd PvP all day long. If I was a warrior, I'd be PvP, and they'd be like,
"Well, I really appreciate you
outside doing some PvP."
As much as I appreciate you baiting the responses ahead of people listening to this podcast, no, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to dive into PvP yet, Taliesin, and I haven't reached that point.
Why don't you want a weapon?
Not that bad. No.
You got a PvP. Okay, so here's the thing, right? I appreciate that I have a different view on this to many people, and views are always split about how the gearing of an expansion is kind of sort of presented and how it works and the systems regarding it. And I think one of the things people miss out on is the fact that the perfect system doesn't exist, because there will always be occasions, whatever you do, whichever way you swing, there can be people that prefer it and people that don't. So I think we kid ourselves into thinking that Blizz are always looking for the perfect system where every expansion, when what they're actually doing is swinging it from side to side. So one expansion will start off with like harder to find, more optimizable loot, and then throughout the course of that expansion it will swing back towards some more plentiful, less optimizable loot, and then more than likely the next expansion will start at the other extreme and kind of swing back. And I think we've got to stop thinking that Blizz do that by mistake and that they're just terrible at kind of making these systems. Is because they know there's no winning, so they just kind of like cover all the ground over the course of a couple of expansions. That's clearly what they're doing here. In the same way that they change balance in something like Overwatch, it's like, the balance is never right in Overwatch. It's like, it's not meant to be. Like, they give you new meta heroes every season, and then they switch it around for the next season, because that's how you keep people playing. It's like you don't ever give anyone complete, like, perfect balance. Anyway, and where it's at the moment, I would call the Tally sweet spot. There are other things I call the Tally sweet spot, but that is not appropriate for this podcast. And for me, that is the fact that I am being encouraged to use lots of different ways of playing the game to get the gear that I want, because I'm not able to just do Mythic Plus and get all the gear I want. I'm not allowed to just do Raid. And yeah, you're right, Claire, I was talking about my bum, yes. And you're not allowed to just do Raid and get all the gear you want. Like, I couldn't, I have to, like, before I went into Raid the other week, I actually got one of my Covenant armor pieces which you can upgrade with Anima, and upgraded it to 197 because it was actually better than what I had to go into raid with. And like, the idea of using that, and then I went into PvP to get the trinkets that I needed, and then I've been doing Mythic Plus and Raid, and every time that the weekly chest comes along, there's something that I can use, and that's the sweet spot for me. Like the idea that the loot isn't coming thick and fast, but I'm able to kind of target the gear that I want through not just different dungeons or different raid bosses, but through literally just different styles of play. And literal sort of ways of playing the game. Like, I need to PvP to get this, and I need to do that and to get that. And I don't expect anyone to like find that as fun as I do. And I'm not saying you're wrong if you think that's a bad way of gearing, but that's, for me, that's a really fun way to play the game. Like, I prefer being able to focus on my main. Having said that, I've got 3 alts as well, 1 in each covenant, which I'm also doing that on. I'm enjoying that as well. But I'm also know that I'm privileged that I can play the game a lot more than a lot of people can as well. So I completely understand if people are frustrated with that as a way of gearing. But for me, it's awesome, and I absolutely love that. I'm in a really good place with Shadowlands kind of day-to-day gameplay and gearing at the moment. And to the extent that I think it's at this stage, like we said last episode as well, at this stage, honestly, I think it's pretty much my favorite expansion. Like, at this stage, I'm enjoying just, like, I look forward to logging into the game more than I do. More than I have done, like, any other expansion at this stage, I think. Like,
yeah, and I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. The weapon's just like, it's just this personal pain point, and one that's clearly shared by a lot of players. I'm not the only person I've heard make these comments. But you're right. And I think the reason you and I and most of the community don't talk about the fact that the perfect gearing system doesn't exist is because, well, it's kind of a boring talking point, isn't it? Take a stance, get angry online. That's not going to get you any upvotes. What are you
that's
doing?
Definitely true. Yeah.
But like, and it's also like taking that dismissive thing out of it. It's fun. It's fun to have these conversations. It's fun to talk to pit different gearing systems against each other and figure out which one that you like. But yeah, to me, I'm with you. I really do like this. Because of my own personal pain points with like weapons, I am starting to come over to the side of the crowd that's like, hey, what about badges? Badges were good. Like,
but what do you think conquest points are if not badges?
Oh yeah. Listen, mister, I can go on Twitter and be like, hey, who wants to take me through twisting corridors? And I'm sure you could just as easily be like, hey, who doesn't suck at PvP and wants to PvP together? I don't have that luxury.
Most of my PvP I do with guildies, in fairness. Even if I'm doing it on stream, I often mostly do it with guildies. And it's just
deflected like a true WoW 1%er.
What, for being in a guild? But that's the thing, like, I think it's a remarkably varied kind of there's so many varied systems for gearing in Shadowlands at the moment, and the fact that you just brought up something that, despite my kind of 2-minute like ass-kissing praise of all the different systems in Shadowlands, I didn't even mention, which is Torghast and the legendaries and things like that, which is just another way of gearing that I didn't mention. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and lots of different ways of getting the gear and different systems for like upgrading, and I think it's great. Honestly, I absolutely love it. And overall, yes, you're quite right. Alongside all of that, I did also complete the Twisting Corridors last week as well, which was essentially horrible, but also quite fun for it being horrible. And so I now have my corridor. So
it's completely in line with our conversation about it on the last episode.
Yeah, totally.
Completely horrible, but weirdly enjoyable.
Yes, exactly. Well, where are you up to in Twisting Corridors at the moment, Garrett?
I haven't moved since our last episode because I couldn't find another 2+ hours outside of raiding to dedicate to possibly wasting my time.
And remind me, where does that leave you in the Twisting Corridors currently?
I don't remember now.
Don't even remember what layer you're on in the Twisting Corridors.
I think just layer 4.
Is it not seared into your memory?
So far, the barrier to me has not been the difficulty.
Just the time.
Even though I have been soloing, it's literally just been time. I know eventually it's going to be both time and difficulty.
Yeah.
But I didn't flounder, right? I told the story, so I don't want to retread it. But the only time I lost was because it was the very first time I went in, because I didn't even realize I was going to Twisting Corridor. I was just doing that Anduin quest, and I thought it was like every quest that had preceded it, which was, hey, go do a laughably easy version of Torghast and move on with your life. And so I didn't clear everything out, and I ended up on the last boss with not as many powers as I could have,
Yikes.
and I died. And then every time I went back after that, something came up. Like I got a call, or I had to go deal with something, or an emergency meeting came out of the blue, and it's just like, shite, here I am. I guess I'm not. Here I am, an hour plus in. I guess it's going out the door. And so and yeah, so like, yeah, for me, it's Twisting Corridor is just like does not line up with the sporadic sessions that I get in and enjoy my World of Warcraft.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
and let alone like 8 layers of it. That's the thing. It's like sometimes it's hard enough to find a couple of hours away from raid and stuff that you can play the game anyway. And having to do it 8 times and succeeding every time, like that's a lot. It's a lot.
WoW, and we talked a lot about this, but WoW has really gotten a lot more like time friendly over its entire history. And whether that's as we talked about last week, like the crowd getting older, or just a shift in design philosophy or what have you, it's kind of irrelevant, but that is the case. It has arrived there. But Twisting Corridors certainly seems to be a step back from that. Because part of the way that I became kind of the general Blizzard gamer that I am now, I enjoy Hearthstone, I enjoy Heroes, I enjoy World of Warcraft, was because World of Warcraft gave me that freedom to go and do that. Like it became more like something that I could keep up in these shorter spurts of playtime. And I've gotten really used to that and enjoy that accessibility of it. And then there's just Twisting Corridors staring me down going, yeah, this isn't accessible in the way that you've grown accustomed. And I don't think it's objectively a bad thing about it, but it's definitely a thing that's keeping me away from it.
Fair enough. I mean, can you see a time when you would just one day have the time to do it and be thankful for that?
Yeah. And it's something I want to do, which is cool. I haven't really had this in World of Warcraft in a while, short of just being like, there's still a part of me that's like, God, I wish I could just like raid 6 nights a week like I used to, and become a mythic raider or something. But like that to me seems pretty unrealistic, so I don't think about it often. But the Twisting Corridors is just like, yeah, that's on the list. It's like, whoa, I want to get this done.
I gotta say, Garrett, having that corridor creeper mount, it's a whole new lease of life for me. That account-wide mount that you can ride in the Maw. Obviously, it's account-wide. But, like, the Maw now, for me, now that I've got a mount that I can run around on it with, on every character, like, the Maw genuinely feels like Mechagon or the Timeless Isle. Like, it's opened up that whole other layer of fun in the Maw for me, where I am just running around, like, picking up quests when they appear and doing them, and that kind of find your own adventure thing that happened in the Timeless Isle and Mechagon to a lesser degree. And it does genuinely feel like that, and I look forward to going there so much more. It's definitely true. And you, Garrett, you could be enjoying your life so much better as well if you had the Corridor Creeper mount. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, well, listen, I look forward to getting on here and cussing the paint off the walls when I die on layer 8. I look forward to it.
Just get yourself a good group, Garrett. You're a world famous content creator. You can find a group easy. You just stream that shit on your YouTube, on your channel, which is, A Move TV, and you just go through that, and you get a Prop Paladin friend, and you get yourself a Windwalker friend, and you go through there, and you do it all, and you're like, oh, thank you, friends. Now I have the mount, and they're like, hey, don't mention it. It was my privilege to play with you, oh famous creator.
Ooh,
By the way, do you have Taliesin's number? Can you just send me that if that's...
Yeah, Kalai in chat room gets it right though. For some reason, a lot of people that listen to me play Horde, and I switched to Alliance.
They're allowed in Twisting Corridors as well. That's fine. Why? What do you think they're not allowed to do it? I don't understand.
It doesn't help me.
You create a Horde character, you get in there, you can still have the mount on all your Alliance characters. That's how WoW works. Should we have a little conversation about how mounts work in WoW? Should we just for anyone that doesn't understand?
I do, unless you want to continue having a conversation about all the other ways that I'm burnout, and having to go through the goddamn intro maw again is one of them.
Hey, you know what makes the intro more, the more intro, like much easier? Corridor Creeper Mount.
You know what, Taliesin? I no.
I look forward to starting new alts now because I get to run through that more starting area on my Corridor Creeper Mount like it's not even there, and I look at all the scrubs running around on their and they've got Jaina and they've got Thrall following them like this, going nice and slow, going, oh come on, let's go rescue Anduin,
I imagine
even though it's up that big thing, and then you got to run around doing it, and I'm all like, here I am, my Corridor Creeper, eat my Corridor Creeper dust.
You know, when I'm out at the lovely Florida beach swimming, I imagine people going by on their yachts have the exact same feeling and experience. So continue. You're really, really like driving home what a WoW 1%er you are, Taliesin.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. Well, I'll accept it. I'm the 1%. I'm down with that. I'm fine. I'll be the 1%. I'm happy to be the 1%. Eat me.
Yeah, no. I like listen. In closing, my TLDR on all of this is I'm pretty burnt out on a lot of aspects in Shadowlands, but I'm still content and happy with the expansion.
That's good to know. And here's the thing, right? This brings us back to a topic that I'm very passionate about, which is why I talk about it all the time, and that's scheduling of an expansion. Because yeah, you're quite right. I'm enjoying Shadowlands. I think it's a fantastic expansion, but if they leave that next patch too long to come out, it doesn't matter how good this patch was, because it will eventually become not fun, and that's how people will remember it. And that's why Legion was so brilliant, was because it was like, hey, Legion comes out and it launches and everyone's like, oh, thank God it's good. Oh, thank God. Legion's really good. Legion's really fun. I'm having a great time. And then literally 6 weeks later, they were like, and you know what? Here's a new patch. Here's a new patch. You don't even have time to get bored of it. Not even 77 days for that first patch. Like, the first patch came, like, much is made of the 77 days, like, gap in between patches in Shadowlands, and it is true. But people forget the first patch was even less than that. The first patch came out, like, 77 days after the pre-patch went live. So, like, you had barely any time in that first patch of Shadowlands proper before that first patch came in. And it felt brilliant. Felt amazing. But of course, there were people who were like, oh no, it's come out too quickly. The first patch, I haven't had time to finish everything that I wanted to do yet. So, you know, you can't have patches come out too quickly. And to them, I say, BFA was your fault. Shut up. Never say that again.
Yeah, there's so much that can be completed in WoW, and much like the gearing, it's like you're never going to please everybody. There's too many different types of WoW players, right? Like, so whatever your to-do list is, whether it's PvP or raiding or mount collecting, like there's going to be things you're behind on when the next patch drops. So I'm all for it. Just get new stuff out.
I'm no mount collector, or maybe I am, because you know something I enjoyed doing recently? Collecting the Corridor Creeper mount. Pride of place in my collection now. That I collected that one. I wonder how many people have got that mount. I guess that makes me quite the collector.
I should have realized I was teeing you up for that. I really should have. I'm sorry. I'm going to go pet battles. I'm going to go. Okay. Somebody's probably behind on pet battles right now. Like, no, don't let the new patch come.
Definitely true. I have literally never done a pet battle in my entire life.
I think I've done one.
I think my
relationship with
1,000 times more than me.
Yeah, my relationship with pet battles is like my relationship with Lost. I tried it once, hated everything about it, and moved on with my life.
I'm really glad that I called Lost. I called Lost after 2 episodes. I was like, the people writing this show do not know what is going to happen. And this show will suffer for it. I was like, with Lost, I was like, if the people writing this show know what the ending is right now, then this show is going to be brilliant. But I know for a fact they don't. I know for a fact these guys are making this shit up as they go along. And it turns out I was completely right. And I'm very glad that I didn't invest any of my life in that show. Anyway, 2 white guys talking about Lost for just £5 a month. Internet, you can have 2 white guys in their 30s talking about Lost on a podcast. What do you think about that, eh? Hand it over.
So Taliesin, We do not have a PayPal link to give out for that, but what we do have is you're making me think on the damn reason we decided to turn on microphones this morning, which is another part of Legion that was quite satisfying, is the fact that we knew where it was going. This is something you've mentioned time and time again. We were essentially given a roadmap at a BlizzCon. They were like, hey, we're going here, we're going there, going to Argus. Here's an early look at a map to a raid that's still quite a way. What is it, Nighthold? I think we got like a really early map of.
Yeah, true.
Like that was rad, and they were like, hey, we're going to Argus, mofos, enjoy, get hyped, get excited. And
I did as well, Garrett. I got so hyped, I got so excited.
We all did. We all did. And that just it played on the positivity of the rollout of patches with Legion. Not only did they come out at a good clip, but we knew where they were going and where they were going to be taking us. And we are, what, 2 weeks? Slightly more than 2 weeks away from BlizzCon, or in this case, BlizzConline.
Such a good pun, and I am here for it.
It's horrible. It's so bad. No, stop lying. It's the worst. You know it's the worst.
Don't.
BlizzConline.
Oh, come on. You forget. You can't see my face right now in this recording, but I can see yours.
No,
and I see that little smirk, that little smile in the corner of your lips, in the secret place that happens every time you say BlizzConline. You love it. You delight in it. Same as I. Same as any other human being. BlizzConline. Hey, really what are your predictions for BlizzConline? You want to laugh. You want to have a little chuckle every time you say it. It's a damn fine pun, and I'm here for it. Don't play coy with me.
Listen.
Don't play hard to get. You're fooling no one. You love it.
Listen, we did not come here to debate the merits of BlizzConline. So all I will say is it's a great name if it's a YouTube thumbnail. It is probably not a great name if it is a multi-billion-dollar corporations conference.
If you think that's going to be the most slapdash thing about this BlizzCon, then I've got some very bad news for you.
I don't. I actually, this is gonna. I think anyone hoping for like good production value, I don't know why. Because have you watched Blizzard do things from home over the past year?
No, because I've always been at BlizzCon.
No, I just mean
I don't know
like
if you saw
general.
the WoW Q&A last BlizzCon, but I was pretty fucking important. Just saying. The stuff they've been doing from home, it's pretty ramshackle. I'm just sitting there going, and not for no good reason. Yeah, a lot of people have been slagging off the MDI recently, the Mythic Dungeon Invitational, because of what they're calling low production values. But what are they supposed to do? Like send sets around to streamers' houses so they can sit in them?
I don't know. Maybe get a budget of like maybe $200 for a slightly better camera and a light. Like, would it kill you?
But what? And again, send them round to their presenters' houses. Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
Do you want them... Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what I want them to do.
So
I hosted a multiple Hearthstone firesides where we were a playoff stop for players in the southeastern United States, and that's exactly what they did.
They
sent us a
nice
chest
camera around to your house
with lights, and it wasn't a super nice camera, but it was at least 1080p. It was they sent lights over, they sent a backdrop over, they sent a webcam over, and they sent a computer over.
And how did these things get delivered?
In a giant who makes it? I have one. But those big kind of ballistic cases that you usually would transport camera equipment.
Did the postman deliver it, or did they send people around to set it all up for you?
No, the postman delivered it.
Wow, and then you had to set it all up, and then I guess you sent it back, right?
Yeah, and there was like a little sheet in there that was like vague directions on how to make lighting not completely suck.
Wow.
And then there was a return envelope or a packing slip and all that kind of stuff. It was really well thought out.
Do you know what? I take it back. Yeah, that's exactly what they should have done. And screw them for not doing that. If they've done it before, if they've done it in the past, they should be doing it. No, I've changed my mind on it. I was actually being a bit chill about it and being like, well, what do you expect them to do, man? There's a pandemic. Like, they're having to have people. Of course, it's not going to be the same level of quality as when everyone's in a studio, right? And what have you. It's gonna be varying levels of quality. But actually, now that you've explained that they've done that in the past, I give no shit. I want the full shebang. Absolutely, yeah, I do.
There is as we have
screw the MDI.
As we have figured out today, there is a major consideration for the fact that if you want things to truly be live, you only have so much control over your connection to the other people that you're streaming with.
Yeah.
And there is no amount of money that can make your Discord connection foolproof.
Yeah.
Like, there just isn't.
I have a very nice camera and very nice sound. That's all I'm saying. I should be presenting the MDI, probably.
Yeah. Where I get grumpy and like whatever. I guess like there's diminishing returns on production value and getting your information out there. But where I get grumpy is when things are pre-recorded and they look like butt. That's where I go, why you would just spend like a couple $100 on lights and make this look a little bit better? What are we doing here?
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah. And,
sorry,
well,
that was my tirade.
So,
you got me off on a tirade today.
No,
so
I got you off with a tyranderade.
Yeah.
Sorry, this whole BlizzConline thing is really pushing the puns out in me, and I appreciate it. Yeah. So that's the thing. So BlizzConline, the first ever online BlizzCon. It's here's the thing. Usually it's in November. Now it's in February. And they've had a good 4 months to prepare for it, which they wouldn't have had before. And presumably, I mean, no one's been in contact with me to host no Q&A, so I assume that's not happening, right? But the rest of the other BlizzCon things will be... how recognizable do you think that BlizzConline will be to a normal BlizzCon? You've been to a fair few BlizzCons in your time. You jumped a fair few queues to get inside. How do you think it will compare? Like, what will be the main differences? What will and won't be represented from the standard BlizzCon experience, do you think?
I mean, it's basically what everyone and every media outlet has been contending with the pandemic, right? Is just like lack of crowds and lack of actual audience, and like that is just not going to be there. But the other thing, and it was what we kind of just talked through, which is I think there's going to be a severe lack of production value. Because we've seen all of the Blizzard teams having to still, continue to get messages out to us, still make videos, still make previews, whether it's World of Warcraft or any other Blizzard game you can, throw a dart at. But they've been people in their homes, clearly on like a dumpy webcam with whatever lights they happen to have laying around. And I'm just like, I'm calling now. That's going to be BlizzCon. It's just going to be a lot more hours of that.
I feel like I've learned a lot about the differing lives and home lives of various Blizzard developers throughout this pandemic. For example, I've learned Ian Hazakostas, no lights in his house. And also no teleprompter. Every time I watch Ian Hazakostas present something now and tell me about some exciting new thing that's happening in WoW, I'm like, yo, Ian, my eyes are up here, mate. All right, stop looking down there. All right, I know it's very nice, but my eyes are up here. Come on. Because he's always just looking a bit off screen and a bit below and what have you. And it's like, hey, dude, get a teleprompter, parrot teleprompter. It's $100.
I need one. I need one for my other life as like a contract content creator. I basically have no use for one as a podcaster because so much of it is ad-libbed, right? It's like I got a decent one for like $200, man. Get a teleprompter. Stick your Logitech webcam up in there. What are you doing?
About them, I've noticed, so maybe we should stop because there'll be $1,000 next time we mention them.
But, listen, it could definitely be cost prohibitive if you're like a hobbyist content creator. I don't think this is cost prohibitive if you're Blizzard.
Yeah, for sure, exactly, and that's a good point. It's that thing of, well, yeah, we should be expecting certain standards, I think. And yeah, guaranteed the presentation of it is going to be clunky. But hey, look, maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe they'll all go into work that day in the office and like it'll be all lights and shiny. Yeah. Well, maybe they're going to be in the conference center. It'll just be empty and it'll be the normal BlizzCon setup with all the screens and stuff, but with just no cheering, like some BlizzCons I can think of. And it will just be like Geek Is all over again.
It was my first BlizzCon. I have such warm memories. Yeah,
Look, Anaheim
it's
Convention Center is big. That's all I'm saying. You can socially distance adequately in Anaheim Convention Center. No, you know, you can get the crew in there. You can get the devs in there. They can stand there in the cavernous wastes of the unused conference center, and they can be saying stuff, and like it can look like BlizzCon. That's all I'm saying. Or get yourself a tidy green screen and just like pretend you're there. It'll be great.
Yeah, I just I know we're getting a little hung up, but clearly you and I are you know, somewhat interested in the production side of things because we have to do it. So we're a bit, you know, somewhat gear nerds and whatnot. So that's where my head goes, at least in this conversation. I don't think it's going to be it. I think listen, it's
but my worries are a bit different from yours. So you care about just how it looks and what have you. For me, it's more about flow. Okay, so I don't want any awkward, like, technical issue. I don't want Ian Hazakostas, right, to come out and be like, okay, so I hope you've all been enjoying Shadowlands so far, where you have explored the wonders of the afterlife. You've experienced new races, and you've pledged your allegiance to a covenant. And we're ready now to present to you the next step in your Shadowlands journey. And then the screen fades out a bit. And the screen fades back in a little bit. And then Ian's still there, and he's like, huh. And it fades out again. And then something starts playing, but it's got no sound. And then, like, you get a little, it's like, and then, and it goes back, and it's John Haidt, and he's got his pants off because he wasn't expecting, like, to be on the screen in this moment. And he's like, and it fades out again. And then like a trailer starts playing, and it's too loud now, and you're like, oh, and you're like, oh no, and then that's what I'm worried about, and because that's happened at actual BlizzCons. Don't forget, like, where we were in the main hall watching, like, the intro, like the whole grand introduction to BlizzCon last year, when they played that Diablo 4 cinematic. It cut out at one point, and that screen went black. And in the main hall, we could just hear the cinematic happening in other parts of the building. So we knew there was some stuff going down, and we knew it was scary. And we missed, like, a whole part of that. And no one ever talks about that, because we like to pretend it didn't happen, but it did happen.
And I was sitting over at the WoW stage with no technical difficulties, having a grand old time.
And just at the end of the WoW Q&A, like, you know, it turned out I got backstage, and it had been a fun Q&A. It'd been really good. We didn't quite have enough questions, but that was fine. And we got backstage, and you know, tensions were high backstage when I got back there, because it turns out people on stage couldn't hear anything I was saying, and couldn't hear most of the questioners on the microphone, because they just didn't have, like, the feedback in their comms and stuff. So their answers to the questions and to the things I was saying and to other comments that people with the mic in the crowd were saying were based mostly on half-heard things and, like, what they assumed they were being asked and things like that. So yeah, and you know, Ian was like, come on, guys, like, you know, we were answering questions we couldn't hear and stuff. And so I was like, ooh, but I did all right, though, yeah. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. Oh, that's okay, I don't care then.
Yeah, but it's the same concerns. Like, if you're doing anything live, whether it's remote or it's, you know, all in person, there's going to be the chance for unexpected hiccups or technical issues. And that's why, like, I'm fairly certain this is going to be a collection of pre-recorded bits. I think it should be. That's what I would do if I had to make a call on this. So yeah, that's just kind of how I expect it to play out. So I really just, I'm expecting it to be a collection of longer form, just, you know, Zoom calls, basically, like, and get us the information, and you know, the trailers will be slick. You know, anything that's using in-game assets, that's going to look great. Yeah. All the talking head bits, it's going to look like this show. Like, it's going to be,
hey, this show looks amazing. My
X amount of people.
It's not going to look anywhere near as good as this show. Because look, we're streamers, right? Well, and why should it? Why should it? Because, like, we broadcast from where we're sitting right now, like, multiple times a week. You know, yeah. I record my videos here. I stream from here. We do this podcast. It's really good. It's called WoW Killer. And
it's okay.
Yeah. Like, it's our living and it's what we do, but it's not for Blizz. You know, they always get outside influencers to do that, and suddenly they're in this situation where it's very strange, and you know, you're having to rely on people that they're doing Zoom calls and having meetings online together, presenting. Of course, it doesn't look anywhere near as good as this, and even with our amazing setups and that we've spent a lot of time and money on, you know, as we've seen in the delay to getting this podcast started today, you know, you're always at the mercy of sort of outside elements to a certain degree, and
which is why I wouldn't live it.
I see. I didn't hear what you said just then. And if this was a live BlizzCon presentation, we'd be screwed right now. We'd be like, I don't know what he said, and maybe I've just
you would just go, yeah, okay. Let me respond to that with a complete non sequitur that doesn't tie into what you just said at all, which happens in podcasts all the time. Yeah, no, it really just comes out to like my TLDR is like, I would not do it live. I wouldn't expect them to do it live, and I wouldn't expect them to overinvest in the production because, well, it's a free BlizzCon. Like it's going to be a free live stream. The one last production thing that I'm interested in, and I'm curious how they're going to play it, and this kind of goes into your. I think this plays off of Flow, which you mentioned, is. Are they gonna try and recreate the multiple virtual stage?
That's a really good question.
Like, am I gonna have to choose if I'm watching it live to watch, you know, a WoW panel or a Hearthstone panel or a Diablo panel, for example, because they're happening simultaneously, and tune in to have they even said where they're streaming this? Are they going to be doing it on their own proprietary thing like they do for BlizzCon, or is it going to be on Twitch or YouTube or what have you? I guess they haven't
on Twitch and YouTube and like every available platform, I guess.
I would hope so, but also, you know, there's been a lot of ruffled feathers in the esports world because of the YouTube exclusivity. So who the hell knows? But this isn't esports.
No.
But
and
yeah,
like presentations like this on Twitch, even when the esports has been on YouTube. So I'm aware. It's just it casts doubt in my mind to just be like, yes, it will definitely be on Twitch. Who the hell knows? As long as we can all watch it for free, which we can. That's the main thing. Yes. And so and now I'm like, it's funny that here's what they have recaptured from BlizzCon Taliesin, which is me going, boy, I'd like to have a schedule by now, but we don't. And I think we will be getting our schedule. Like, it's 2 weeks away. It's not the same kind of level of organization as a normal BlizzCon. So, I mean, like, the schedule can come out a day before, as far as I'm concerned. It's fine. Yeah. But one thing I'm really interested in, you know, if I was putting together a BlizzConline and I was thinking of what parts of BlizzCon I would want to try and replicate if I could, one of those things, which I think it would be really cute to try and replicate, would be live demos of new things. And I wonder if they will try and incorporate that into it in some way. If it's like, okay, so everyone watching this stream right now, you can go and play the Diablo Immortal demo, like right now, or something like that. There's a Diablo 4 build up right now, and everyone watching this stream, you can go and play it. They did this with the WoW Classic demo. Because I did not play it at BlizzCon. Because I'm like, I'm at BlizzCon. I'm not going to spend my time slowly murdering boars. Well, I guess it was Westfall. So slowly murdering harvest golems. But then I got home and I could play the demo for like, what was it, a week, 2 weeks? I don't remember the time frame, but a certain amount of time after BlizzCon. And I was like, oh, this is great. And so I downloaded it, launched it in the Blizzard launcher, and yada, yada, yada. Which, by the way, the like 2-year-long beta for the Battle.net launcher is finally not a beta anymore. Yeah. Like that newer version, which launched at the last BlizzCon we had back in 2019. So yeah, I'm honestly, I'm kind of expecting it. And I would be really surprised if they don't have some sort of demo for us to install and play at home. Like I can understand concerns, and, you know, data miners are going to go nuts with whatever they send out, but boy, it just that would really make my day. I mean, that does bring us to like the next stage of these kind of like BlizzConline predictions. If there is going to be a playable element to BlizzConline, like a downloadable demo or something, a la WoW Classic, what's it gonna be? And you don't have to stay WoW centric if you don't think there will be WoW stuff. Like what is gonna be revealed at BlizzConline? What are people gonna be able to download if that's a thing? Like, what are we gonna see? Oh, there's definitely gonna be WoW stuff. If there's not, we're in serious trouble.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They would have had WoW stuff for November, and so clearly they're gonna have stuff for February. I'm sure like there's definitely been a knock-on effect of the pandemic. I would have probably expected November to be the announcement of like the next of the first patch and maybe a roadmap. I'm crossing my fingers for a roadmap. Definitely would have detailed what was coming in point one.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting that, and I'm not sure I'm expecting much more because I think because of COVID, I think they're probably behind. Like we've talked, this has come up multiple times over the course of our episodes in 2020, is that like that Blizzard having to move to work from home, like that was not easy. It's something, I mean, Blizzard is very much known for like their campus lifestyle in terms of how they function as a studio. But so yeah, like my assumption is a point one detailing. I'm hoping for a roadmap, and chat rooms mentioning it, and I'm fairly certain we're also going to hear about WoW Classic Burning Crusade.
Yeah, I would think that's a guarantee. So there are some things that I think you could put your house on for BlizzConline as far as announcements are concerned. One of those is Diablo Immortal, like launch probably in some way, or some details about it. I think one of those things is going to be just some Diablo 4 news, maybe a tentative release date or release year, and like just some new footage and like obviously stuff about that. I think the new WoW patch is definitely something that will be revealed and announced, and I dare say they'll be like, Anne, it gives me pleasure to tell you that you can experience all of this, or at least most of this, for yourself on the 9.1 PTR, which will be coming sometime next week. And I think the Burning Crusade Classic will be the other thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is a full-on playable demo for that to download like there was WoW Classic. I feel like that will be the kind of the take-home download element, if there is one, of BlizzConline, because we saw it as an amazingly easy thing to implement for WoW Classic, and I think it'll, because you're not even really giving away any new content there either, are you, for people to download, or any new assets or anything. You're essentially just opening something up to people, and I think there'll be a playable Burning Crusade Classic.
Yeah, I think that's extremely likely, and if PTR for point one is aligned very closely, if not to the day or the following Tuesday, which I guess would be the 23rd, like that is, it's something we all get, but it also kind of scratches that demo itch, right? Is getting to play what's going to be happening in retail, very very soon. So, and I'm with you on the Immortal too. I was hoping, like I said this when they announced Immortal. I'm like, they should have just waited until Immortal was ready and been like, surprise, BlizzCon, you can download it on your phones right now. That's
how you win the Immortal thing. Absolutely. You announce Diablo 4 first, and like officially, and you go, there's gonna be a Diablo 4, guys, and then you go, oh, and by the way, we've also got this mobile game called Diablo Immortal to scratch that itch while you're waiting 2 years, and you can play that right now. Just download it. It's a game. Just play it. It's fucking Diablo. Go for it. And that's how you win. That's how you don't get all the shit for Diablo Immortal. It's easy.
I can't wait for Diablo 5 : fucking Diablo. It's going to be great.
Fucking your wallet, Diablo. Absolutely.
I mean, I know it's not, we dance around other Blizzard topics, even this is a WoW show. But I will say, as someone who did not sign up for the Immortal beta or alpha, I guess, and has also been very clear about, I'm just not all that interested in it. I wish I had expressed more interest in it, Taliesin, because my friends who have it say it's actually pretty freaking good.
Everyone that played it 2 BlizzCons ago when it was first, and said it's really good. Like, it's always been really
I played it 2 BlizzCons ago, and it was, but I still was just like, I don't really play phone games. Was kind of just my takeaway.
It's fine. Like, it's what it is. It's a phone game.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But now that other people are playing it,
in fairness, I bet it's brilliant.
Now that other people are playing it, it's like, I want to lay on my couch with my phone and play a little Diablo. Yeah. Why not? Let's do it. Let's do it.
Mind you, I've got Diablo 3 on Switch, so in fairness, Diablo 3 looks sweet. If I liked Diablo and I wanted to play it on a phone, I'd be like, give me that Diablo immortal. Hand it over. What do I need to do? I need to give you some money for a gem so I can... Yeah, sounds good. Take it. Have it.
Sign
As
me
if
up.
I haven't
Let's
spent
do
more
it.
on WoW. I don't care. I know what a phone game is. I know how they work. You know?
Bringing the focus back to WoW and kind of not only things we hope to see, but also recapturing that BlizzCon feel. I also I can't imagine we get out of this without some sort of cinematic.
I've
for
been stung
retail,
with predicting cinematics before.
Whether it's in game or not, because you remember one of the big winners, the big things that got everyone talking from BlizzCon 2018 was the Terror of Darkshore, because that's where we first saw that cinematic.
Yeah.
And we were all just in disbelief that Malfurion could be anything other than sleep inducing. But which is funny because then now I'm wondering, like, are we not getting full blown cinematics in the style of everything that happened with Saurfang?
Oh, you mean the like cinematic quality ones?
Yeah, because
like
you and I,
moment, does it?
And most of the World of Warcraft community were pretty convinced that was going to set a precedent going forward with retail World of Warcraft. Yeah. And here we are, months after the launch of Shadowlands, with nothing. And they even poured fuel on that fire with the like little mini trailer for Shadowlands itself, with like cinematic renditions of all of the Covenant leaders.
Yeah. Well, people predicting a Tyrande cinematic, but I mean, I've seen no evidence that might, as in like the style you're talking about. I've seen no evidence.
Unless Tyrande is like some sort of binding agent for where we're heading in 0.1.
Yeah.
Which would make.
And do you think?
Okay,
so here we go. They're going to announce a new World of Warcraft patch. It will probably in some form go onto the PTR shortly after BlizzCon, if not at the same time. What does that take, and what is the cinematic that you might get?
Next chapter of whatever the hell's going on with Anduin, which could involve Tyrande, as Chatroom was pointing out. Tyrande is in Torghast.
Yeah.
She's trying to find Sylvanas. So. What if she finds Anduin first?
Ooh, okay. So we've had the thing where Sylvanas maybe is having kind of doubts about her team up with the jailer, and Anduin seems to have done a pretty good job of kind of calling her bluff on that a little bit and being like, you only want me to come to your side willingly because you don't have that choice and it justifies your situation to you, but you don't have to do that, Sylvanas. You can be a goodie and you can come with me and we can end all this stuff. And she's a bit like, the next step would be dramatically, if I was trying to think of something very dramatic to happen, it would be for Sylvanas to be ready and willing to join Anduin and be like, no, do you know what? You're absolutely right. Yeah, okay, you know what, little lion? I don't like you, but I am impressed with you. And actually, with the whole Denathrius thing that happened, I'm willing to believe that maybe the jailer isn't all that, and it's a bit scary. And she's about to join Anduin, and Tyrande turning up actually throws a spanner in that works. Because Tyrande's all like, I found you! Don't worry, Anduin, I will rescue you, and I will kill Sylvanas. Anduin's like, no, we're getting somewhere here. Seriously. And Tyrande's like, I don't give no shit. You know, that would be the dramatic kind of scenario to play
out. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that could take, but like, yeah, it's just, I mean, those players, those pieces of the Shadowlands narrative puzzle are all in the same location.
Yeah,
vaguely. Obviously, Torghast is large and sprawling and maze-like, but it's if this is also a video game, and I can't help but think of levels, Taliesin, and it sure does seem like you might hit the Anduin level before you hit the Sylvanas level.
It seems that way, doesn't it? But then, like, that's clearly... Do you think the whole Sylvanas Anduin thing, that we're talking about how it's kind of broken the mold from what it established in BFA a little bit, but has it really? Is the Sylvanas Anduin thing kind of like the B-plot in the way that the Anduin Sylvanas Saurfang thing was a definite... Like, it was there all the time, but in terms of, like, it was definitely a B-plot, right? That whole kind of... like Sao Fang having doubts and then getting put in, like, being released from jail by Anduin and going and doing that thing. It was there and it was constant. And it was maybe the more important thing in the long run. But it was presented and played out as a B plot. And is that what's happening with, like, and every time we tried to put narrative kind of driving force importance into what was happening with Sao Fang and Sylvanas, we kind of got burned a little bit, because it was always a more secondary B plot going on. And is that the danger we run by trying to see how the Anduin Sylvanas thing is going to drive the plot onwards? Is it not something that's going to play out kind of in the background and secondary to whatever the actual main driving force is?
I mean, maybe, and I don't know. I kind of take issue with the B plot, because I think until N'Zoth was finally revealed as the 0.3 boss, like because of the way the Sourfang cinematics were presented, it sure felt like an A plot. It sure was presented in a way that this is important.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not it is, I don't think is necessarily relevant, because this is WoW, to greater successes and failures, depending on which thread we're talking about here. But it always picks back up threads, whether they were A, B, C, or D plots. Like, eventually it finds threads to pull on. And right now it's definitely working with the Sylvanas Anduin relationship, like, very blatantly. And it's even more so we're focused on it right now, because there's just not much else narratively to focus on. The raid, as we've talked about, it has a finality to it. Like, we leave Nathria feeling like that at least chapter is closed. We put a bow on it. Where are we going from here? The only thing we have to go on are these cinematics with Sylvanas and Anduin. And then if you played as a Night Fae, some Tyrande stuff.
Yeah. And every Covenant campaign has some kind of unfinished business that it leaves to do. Like in and slight spoilers for campaigns here, but the Bastion campaign, you've defeated the Forsworn, but the Morsworn are still out there, and they're a danger as well. And you've rebuilt like part of Elysian Hold, and it's bigger and better, but you still got Uther hanging around who needs some help. So like that's it's not like an urgent thread, but it's a loose thread. And same with the stuff, the Ardenweald campaign is the worst for that, actually. It's got like 5 different threads, which it kind of introduces in the campaign and then makes no effort to kind of tie up at all. Like, that campaign is a hot mess, and I mean a hot mess, like a sexy hot mess. Like, you see someone in a bar and you're like, that person is trouble, but I like them and I want to talk to them. That's the Ardenweald campaign. Like, it's constantly going, hey, look at this amazing plot thread that we could explore. Did you enjoy that? Are you expecting more of it next week? Well, fuck you, because now we've got this thing. And this is sexy and mad as well, but what do you think? You enjoy that? You enjoy going hunting with Huln, did you? Cool. Fuck you. I'm not going to think about what he's looking for now, even though we sent him on the quest. Now you got that, and it's like that all the time. And so it's a really bad one for that. But yeah, it's got those threads, and potentially the most interesting threads as well. The Necrolords have,
but some of the stuff you're mentioning, like, some of it feels pretty easy to say that's not going to be the main binding plot point moving forward through Shadowlands.
Of course. So here's the thing. Like, gameplay wise, the main driving force of the plot thus far in Shadowlands has been, well, the thing that got us there, which was to rescue the Peacebringers, right? Which we've largely done. Anduin and being under the control of Sylvanas is still an ongoing thread. The Tyrande thing is an ongoing thread. The other main drive of the plot was the anima drought and the problems that was causing. Now, that's not over, obviously, because all the souls are still going to the Maw, but it has been mitigated. We've put a stop to Denathrius stealing anima from all over the Shadowlands and sending it specifically to the Maw. Don't know if you were there for the Darkvein fight, but there's a lot of vats of anima hanging in that raid room, which are ours now and which we own. Like, in the Covenants, we've been directing anima directly from our Covenant Hall to different parts of our zone to replenish it. And literally every week we've been doing a quest called Replenishing the Reservoir to do that. And like, that represents kind of some normalcy with the anima coming back. Like, not completely, because obviously the souls are still going somewhere. So, like, you've got the Arbiter, which is still an open thread, and like she needs to be brought back online somehow, however that is. You got Kel'Thuzad, who's still out there. You got Helya, who's still out there. You've got Arthas, who's still out there.
We haven't picked that thread up, like.
And not to mention, and I think this is something which will be the Drust are still out there, but they've been kind of neutered. You've got the Devourers from the cracks in between. They're all still out there. You've got the Brokers still being shifty as, like, they are sus. Eject them, like 100%. And that's the thing. I think a lot of these B plots will be Venari. In the Maw, because the Maw is obviously going to carry on in some way for the rest of the entire game, right? And I think the way that they will develop the Maw and the gameplay in the Maw and the story of the Maw and of Torghast as well will be to develop the story of Venari. And they've established that in the first patch already, where you've got brokers asking us about Venari and being like, so what do you think about Venari? And we're like, I don't know who you're talking about. And I think the developing of the storyline with Venari will be how they develop the Maw. And I think that's cool. So that's something that we can kind of expect to learn more of. I think the development of the brokers will be through those means as well, and through Venari and through the Maw. But you've got the Devourers, you've got the Drust, you've got obviously the Forsworn and Helya, but you've also got, and this is something which I think will take major prominence later on in the expansion. 9.1 might be a bit soon. You've got the Nethrezim. And you've got, Dreadlords, and how that all ties back to the Shadowlands, because it definitely does. And that's been explicit since the alpha, and since we first started exploring the Shadowlands, the Nethrezim have been there. And, references to the Nethrezim have been there. And, like, items named after the Nethrezim have been there. And characters who are literally, called... living in castles which sound like Nathreza are there, and being called the Lord of Dread and stuff like that. And there's going to be a major moment where the Dreadlords and the Nathrezim suddenly become very important. I guess 9.1 might be a bit soon, but I hope it's not like a N'Zoth reveal, where N'Zoth is revealed, but you're like, so is N'Zoth back now? Or what? I don't really understand. Like, there was some smoky tentacles, and we grabbed Ashara. So is N'Zoth back now? Is N'Zoth here? Should I be scared? Should we be? Is he back? I don't know. And I hope it's a lot more explicit with the Nathrezim. I always use this as an example because it's like such a good example. The Argus in the sky moment. There was no kind of going, what happens next? Because Argus was there, and that's something we didn't get with N'Zoth. It was like N'Zoth appeared in a cinematic, but it wasn't very clear, and it was like, what are we doing this now? And I need the Nathrezim, when they finally arrive, I need it to be explicit, and I need there to be no ambiguity about it.
The end of, because that was basically the end of Nighthold. It really got to have its cake and eat it too, right? We got a nice ending in Gul'dan's fall, and a nice cliffhanger looking to what comes next with the opening of the portal to Argus.
No. Sorry, no, that was.
Or am I misremembering that?
It was the end of Tomb of Sargeras.
Tomb of Sargeras, yes.
The end.
And you know what? It was Tomb of Sargeras I was thinking of. You know what? Tomb of Sargeras is what I was thinking of as well. Like an hour ago, when I was like, "Hey, you remember that BlizzCon where we saw a really early stage map of a raid?" It was Tomb. It was not Nighthold.
You're quite right.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm conflating my raids. God, Legion had just so many good raids.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Mind you, we're off to a flyer of a start in Shadowlands as well. I think Nathreza is like Castle Nathria. Sorry, like I say,
a little bit of a I'd say a Freudian slip, but I guess it's a Nathria slip.
Nathria is, I think, the best first raid that we've had in the modern WoW era. I think it's better than certainly better than Ulduar. Not Ulduar. What was the first?
Uldir.
Uldir, thank you. Uldir.
I like it better than Nightmare. Emerald Nightmare as well.
I like the Emerald Nightmare, but I think it's better than Emerald Nightmare.
I think Emerald Nightmare, it lives. It's fine. There were some cool things, but it lives in my brain as a really like overrated raid. I think it's like, I guess it's by virtue of I think every other raid in Legion really impressing me.
Yeah. Emerald Nightmare had a legacy that far outlasted the raid itself, of course, in the Il'gynoth Whispers. So
yes, and you're a
raid
priest,
that
so.
has, like, I think in many people's heads, like, immense importance because of that. Because it's a raid that we always go back to reference because of that fight and because of the Whispers and things.
Yeah, I think I want to tease you, but I think it's like legit that I think Shadow Priests have a lot more of a connection to that raid than anyone else.
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
Because I used to do these little solo lore podcasts for WoW, and that was like me going to Wikipedia once and moving on with my life. I was like, oh, cool, there were some Whispers in here. I'm going to pull that out and move on. Because it was something that I missed entirely as someone who was not a freaking Shadow Priest.
Oh, I know. Like Il'gynoth Whispers were for everyone, not just for Shadow Priests.
Oh, they were. Oh,
yeah. You get
I guess I just left the raid because
the Shadow Priest specific thing was the seed inside the cave. In the Emerald Dream bit at the very end, once you killed the final boss, you were in the Emerald Dream, and there was a cave that had a seed in it. And if you were a Shadow Priest and you had your artifact weapon on you, like, you'd hear a specific whisper to do with that.
Okay. So I just didn't pay attention and just went back and read about it, which is not unlike a lot of my World of Warcraft experience. But
and that's perfectly fair.
Missed it the first time through and went to Wowpedia afterwards.
There is, of course, the promise of another zone which has been teased, which could well be a candidate for 9.1 fun times, which is Craftenium. It's the only other Shadowlands zone that we know of that has actually been mentioned in Shadowlands so far, and you can find it on like a tombstone in a part of Revendreth, which is where most of these clues are, because of, I guess, Revendreth's kind of connection to other zones and to the Dreadlords in particular, it would seem. And Craftenium is described as like the crafting zone of the Shadowlands, and it seems to be run by like an insane ruler and who creates like monstrous creations and things like that. So if you can find that in the Shadowlands, that might give you a hint as to where we might end up at some point as well. And I don't see why they would mention Craftenium and only Craftenium and not have it be important at some point in some way. I don't think it would be like a Mechagon thing. I think it'd be much more like a kind of a Black Empire thing in that respect, as in like machines that we can't comprehend how they work, sort of thing. And
gotcha. I was thinking of like horrific like creations. I'm like, we're kind of already doing that with like the House of Constructs, but
yeah,
but when you take it into like infernal machine territory, then yeah, that's a very different like aesthetic, and that would be
very
something that really
much more
sets it
kind
apart.
of like who's the baddie in Saw?
Oh, Jigsaw.
Yeah, okay, much more like Jigsaw type stuff.
Who's the baddie in Saw? Saw is in his name.
But like something like that, I would imagine it's something like that, with like, you know, just Jigsaw having a gay old time,
the WoW
creating
equivalent,
disgusting, like diabolical machines.
Yeah, the WoW equivalent of that question, by the way, is why are people connecting the Nathrezim to Sire Denathrius?
Yeah.
Why?
Sire Denathrius, who lives in Castle Nathria, why are they connecting him to the Nathrezim who live in Nathreza? Why are they doing that? I don't understand.
Also known as, why are we conflating the Lord of Dread with a monster we call Dreadlords?
Yeah.
Why?
Why weird. It's so weird. It makes no sense to me. You're reaching, boys. I think one of the anima things you can get in Revendreth is literally like Nathrezim artifact as well.
Ooh. Do you think? And maybe this is just because I cuss every time I'm too stupid to think of the giant pendulum guillotines. But do you think the dude that runs Craftenium is also responsible for all the bullshit I walk into without thinking in my Torghast runs?
I hope so.
All the traps.
That would be awesome if it was just a trap zone. Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Would it be awesome?
For me, it would
be awesome if it's a trap zone.
I got that Venthyr teleport, mate. Every time we get to one of those trap rooms, I'm like, see you later, losers.
Oh yeah, I just
get in.
just
We teleporting over
blink.
the traps, losers.
Yeah, I knife Faye blink through that shit, but a whole like that still has a cooldown though, man. I don't know about a whole rate or a whole zone
Oh
of
yeah,
that.
but come on, like by the time this expansion finishes, like we're gonna have so many soulbind rows that our like covenant ability is gonna all be instant cast and like all be on super short cooldowns. Like you know it. By the time this expansion finishes, like we're gonna have like 50 soulbind rows or something. It's gonna be stupid. Be great. Can't wait.
Just in time for me to have a mom out and it not to matter.
Yeah, yeah. But you heard it here first, like the saw zone. Yeah, the jigsaw zone. That's what it's going to be. Craftenium's going to be diabolical traps and like creations and machines and stuff like that. And it's going to rule. It's going to be awesome.
I'm going to
With
need
the insane king in the center. It'll be like Labyrinth, but evil.
It does sound a little too Mechagony when you say it like that.
No,
it's
no.
just and they build stuff and there's a crazy king running it.
Imagine Labyrinth, right? But instead of David Bowie, there's David Craftenium in the middle.
Wait, hold up. Can it just be David? Can we just have the Goblin King? Because I'm here for that.
Okay, fine. He's the Goblin King, and he's got Oscar the baby, and you've got to get into the center and free him. But it turns out he didn't even want Oscar the baby. He wanted you all along. You were the thing he wanted. Not the baby. He didn't care about the baby. It was never about the baby, Sarah. It was about you.
Okay, all I'm picturing is Labyrinth mixed with Saw, and I love it.
That's what I think the zone's going to be. It's going to be Labyrinth mixed with Saw. That's exactly it, and it's going to be amazing. And like every time.
Also announced at BlizzConline will be a new haircut for Blood Elves. That's going to look very much like the Goblin King.
Think how brilliant David Jigsawy is going to be in the middle there, and you'll be all like, and you know, like someone will be helping you through the diabolical machines, and he'll turn up and he'll be like, "What are you doing?" And be, "Oh, nothing, master, nothing, fa la la," and then he'll throw him in the bog of eternal smell for copyright reasons, and it'll be great. It'll be fantastic. I can't wait. It's gonna be an amazing zone. I'll do it. I'll design it. It'll be fun.
Will they show up and tell you that you remind them of a babe?
With labyrinth style things in the Mists of Turner Scythe. Just saying.
That's a good point.
A huge labyrinthine zone, which was a cross between Saw and Labyrinth. Maybe we might want to test some of that technology on like something like Mists of Turner Scythe beforehand. Just saying.
Possibly. That part does kind of annoy me though. The first time I went, I was like, "Oh, cool! This is basically Zelda," and I love it. And now I'm just kind of like, "Ah."
I love it every time. I love it because it never gets any easier.
No, it freaking doesn't. Oh god, it makes me feel so dumb. It really does. Nothing like multiple times a week having World of Warcraft make you wonder if you are not as smart as you think you are. Okay, so point one, gotta be a new zone. We covered that. Gotta have some sort of cinematic angle and reveal. We covered that. Do you think they're just gonna bomb drop and be like, "This is exactly how you will unlock flying"? But they're gonna detail that.
I mean, we already know how you're gonna do that. So yeah,
no, we don't.
Why not?
No, we don't. All that they have said is that it will unlock from Renown.
Yeah.
They could be like, "Surprise, mofos. Here's 50 more levels of Renown that you need to unlock first."
Well,
they haven't said
obviously
what level.
That's what they're going to do. You don't think it's going to be week 1, do you? They've said that we're going to get flying a patch earlier than usual, which means 9.1. And sure as shit, it's not going to be at the beginning of 9.1 because they can specify to the week using Renown when it's going to become unlocked. And yeah, it's not going to be in the first couple of weeks. It's going to be there as a carrot at the end of the stick at the end of that new Renown progression. You know it. Or in the middle at the very earliest. No, yeah, like I don't think that's going to surprise anyone. Apparently it surprises Garrett, and this is not... I've ruined Garrett's Christmas and birthday and New Year.
I don't understand. What I don't understand is the confusion between what I like me wondering if they're going to detail it and folks like you being like they have, and it's just like no, they haven't. We don't actually know, well, no, and that's fine. Like I'm not saying that it is going to be released the first week, but I am curious. Like, is it going to be a 2-week delay, 3-week delay, 4-week delay? Hazacastas is still running World of Warcraft, so it's probably going to be an 8-week delay. But yeah. It's something that like it's something that's just like has irritated me because I keep bringing it up and everyone's always so quick to be like, they already told us it's through Renown. I'm like, that's like jack shit in terms of an explanation, because they could manipulate that in any way they see fit. So I'm still really curious. That's a huge question in my head, and I can't believe it isn't for others.
Well, for me, it's not, because I just don't care. Because for me, I couldn't give a shit about flying.
Well,
because I'm just really enjoying running around the zones, honestly. Still.
Yeah, well, I mean, the word you're looking for has a cost to stan, which is okay.
I'm not in has a cost to stan. I would mud wrestle that mofo for like the features I want in the game, which he refuses to give us, you know. And like but flying is not one of those things, and I think Renown is going to be better than a rep grind for sure. And I like how they can specify exactly when it's going to happen, so they can fit it in like much more neatly with the patch. The problem with rep grinding is you have to introduce some arbitrary kind of like scarcity of rep in the zone that you're introducing it in, okay? Because otherwise people are just going to grind it and get it straight away, which is what they do anyway. But they've got this vague kind of, it's going to take you 2.5 weeks maybe if you're doing everything every day. Like Renown takes all of that stupidity out, and it's just like, it's much more like you can just buy it essentially, but with more gameplay elements in. It's much more like how you've always wanted it to be than it has been previously. You know.
Yeah, I'm with you on the like I like the way Renown works. I like that I just get 2 of it every week as long as I'm doing my stuff. Yeah. Right? Like that's great. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's actually probably the most alt-friendly thing about this damn expansion, even though if like all you care about is flying, you're not going to need it, because once you get it on one, it's going to be account wide. Yeah. But I'm still curious, just like the delay is my question, and what form that takes. Like how long are we waiting? And is it a Renown level? Like, are we just tacking Renown levels on? Do we need to do something to unlock, like, and get to that? Because I can't imagine they would do that, but like, they could just be like, sorry, you can't do this Renown until like you have this rep with your Covenant Sanctum, which also I don't think would be a huge ask, because if you're playing the game somewhat regularly, you're probably pretty damn friendly with your Covenant faction.
I'm just enjoying running around these zones so much at the moment. Like even Revendreth, which I know you hate, but like I'm noticing new things about those zones all the time.
Listen,
appreciating the architecture and the geometry more and more all the time. I just love it, and I'm getting that lovely RPG thing of just getting to know the maps and discovering new bits of the maps just for the hell of it. And they're so well designed and so well put together, and I just think they're fantastic. They're very different, and I'm if I could fly tomorrow, I would count that as a real shame, because I'd still be missing out on a lot of things, And one of the things I've
really taking that away from you.
I think if I ever get around to making a video about things I love about Shadowlands, one of the things I'll look back on, which I think is one of Shadowlands' best innovations, honestly, even though you might not think it, for me has been the way that when you level up through a zone, just doing the story quests and stuff like that, you actually only experience a tiny amount of what that zone has to offer, both in like questing and in like exploring the zone as well. So you've still got, when I hit max level and I hit 60 and I chose my Covenant, I still had like a quarter of each map of each zone that had not even been revealed, let alone kind of properly explored or quested through or anything like that. And part of my max level journey was then opening up these other parts of the map and doing side quests there and learning more about them and seeing these new areas that I hadn't seen before. And that kind of level of exploration at max level is something I think is amazing. I think it's wonderful, and I want it in every World of Warcraft expansion from now on, because it's never really been there before, and it's certainly in the modern era of WoW, and it's fantastic.
I think it has always been there. I think, but because of just that one little change to marking quests that are a part of the main quest line, we're much more inclined to not just grab every single quest we see, as we have in the past. Like that one little change really made the world feel larger in a way that I completely agree with you. But to me, that is so divorced of my desire for flying. and does not do anything to make Revendreth like less of a pain point for me. This expansion.
I really love it.
Like,
I love.
I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying that.
Do you know what, Garrett? I'm really sorry. I think I think, you know, there's moments where I'm in Revendreth and I'm on like I'm in like a town bit in Revendreth, and I see where the quest marker is, and I'm like, I've got to go over there. So I just look to the left and right, and I see where the bridge is, and I run up to the bridge, and then I'm crossing a really long bridge, and it just feels great, man. It just feels really good. You know,
I loved it when I was questing through it, and then I was done. Like, after I've seen it,
you just miss so much if you were flying right now. You'd miss so much good stuff.
You know, you can fly low, right? Are you aware of this fact? You don't have to go to the invisible ceiling and
following paths and roads and happening upon views that have been very specifically put together by level designers. And okay, so like one of the great things about the Covenant campaigns is that it leads you into those areas that you didn't uncover in the leveling questing, right? So, you know, Revendreth is my zone, and it's where I am with my main, and it's the one that I did the side quests in on my main. So it was the first zone that I cleared of side quests and things like that. And it wasn't until like chapter 7 of the Covenant campaign, which was only a couple of weeks ago, that I realized there's a whole corner of Revendreth that has a huge Maldraxxus presence in it. And like, it's just a whole bunch of Maldraxxus people there, and they're all hanging out in Revendreth. And I was led up, following some characters. I went over the brow of a hill, and suddenly I was looking down on all these Maldraxxus guys, and I was like, motherfucker, you've been here this whole time. And like, this is my zone. And I've completely, you know, I had my exploring Revendreth achievement. I thought I'd seen it all. I'd done all the side quests. And then there was this, I just went up a path because I'd been told to in the questing, and suddenly there's all these Maldraxxus dudes, and it was like this, it was so good. And that would have been completely robbed from me if we'd had flying at that point. Obviously.
You're defending this like I said I wanted flying at the beginning, which I don't.
No, but I'm just saying there are still moments like that.
I don't want to wait 3 months into point 1 is what I want. That's what I'm asking for. And maybe a flight whistle, because like, yes, it's so cool discovering new zones. It's not cool running back out of them through the piles of elites.
Say so.
We clearly don't agree.
I mean, if you say so. Like, I've got a teleportation network around Revendreth. I ain't gonna shit. It's great.
I've got one around Ardenweald.
Well, there you go then. Stop complaining.
Yeah. And that part was cool, and I'm with you. Like I just got level 3, and it's like, hey, there's secret islands on the edge of the outskirts that would have been ruined if you could fly. And yeah, that's rad. But come point 1, I don't give a shit. Let me fly to them. I'm done.
Point 1's different though. Like point 1 is yeah, totally, obviously. But I mean, I have no doubt that the flying is coming in 9.1 will be part of the BlizzCon announcement. I don't expect them to say, and just because you asked, Garrett, it'll be week 4. Something to look forward to.
I do expect them to detail it.
Yeah.
Like
we'll find it. We'll find it in the PTR. It will be data. Like obviously the Renown.
That's true.
Progression, and that's how we'll find out. It won't be Blizz telling us.
It's gonna be a Wowhead headline. It's gonna be like,
God, you know it.
The flying will unlock on week 4. And then you'll get into the reading it, and it'll be like, as long as you keep up with your Renown.
Yeah.
Something of that nature.
What will happen is it will be like, flying will come in week 12, and everyone will be like, what? That's 6 weeks. And then some clever people will point out, no, because you've also got story quests for the first 6 weeks. So it's only 4 weeks because you get 3 Renown a week when there's story quests up. And then everyone will be like, okay, fine, yeah. But then lots of people will still think it's going to be 6 weeks.
There's going to be the follow-up Wowhead where they actually like math it.
There'll be a whole lot of anger.
And there's going to be tables.
Will be angry about it right until they unlock flying and realizing it was a lot quicker than they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, overall. Yeah, I'm just trying not to get into the minutia of all of it, but like overall, I like the pace that we're on. Like, to me, it reminds me of Legion, because Legion was the only expansion where I got flying right away, and it's all personal. You either like it or you don't. You get burned out and you fall behind, right? Like I did in every other expansion since with Pathfinder that wasn't Legion. But so far, like for me, it's working, it's clicking, and as long as it's not ridiculously far out in point 1, I think I'm gonna be stoked with it. So, but yeah, it's just to me, it's a hope, like, because I want flying, you don't. So for me, it's something that I'm hoping gets detailed.
Hey, I want flying. Don't get me wrong. All I said was that I'd be sad if flying happened tomorrow. That's all. Yeah.
I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. I would not be sad if they
I
were
don't
like, hey,
believe you, Garrett. That is a lie.
I would be a little sad. Okay. Little sad. Hey, it's well, you know what? It's not going to help me get my my corridor creeper any faster. So whatever.
Fair.
Okay, so what else? What have we not covered? Is there anything else?
Any major surprises at BlizzCon? And what do you think it will be?
Oh, if this was an actual BlizzCon, if there were butts and seats, and Taliesin, if you were trying to stir the hearts of your people, you might take this as the chance to divulge a little bit of what the hell you plan on doing with our beloved Arthas and Evitel in Shadowlands.
Hey, you know what? You might be onto something there. Yeah, you're right, actually. Do you know what I think we'll get? I think we'll get a... I haven't thought about this at any point. You literally just brought it up and it's firing things in my mind. You're right. I think we will get an art concept of Arthas and Evitel in the Shadowlands. I think we'll get concept art of Arthas and Evitel. I think that will be the finisher. I think you're right. That's what I'm going to go for. I think and be like, okay, so we've talked about 9.1 and Craftenium and where we'll be spending our time. We know we'll be flying around at some point. Okay, so I guess that's the end of this presentation. Something to look forward to. The PTR coming out next week. There is, of course, just one last thing, and one other person that people have been talking about so much. And rest assured, we might not find out straight away what's going on, but we will find out. And then concept art, Arthas and Evitel in the Shadowlands, in whatever guise that means, whatever guise that is, but with that kind of grey concept art background that all their concept art is always on. It will be there, and it'll be like, boom. I think you're right. Crowd goes wild. Belly Law makes 12 videos. The end.
and we make a 2-hour podcast out of a single image of concept art.
We won't be the only ones.
We will not. We will not. You cut that up. If we were good at this, Taliesin, and if we were good at this podcast and using every piece of the podcast Buffalo, we would actually plan out our segments ahead of time and split it up into more easily digestible YouTube videos. But that's a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we've done. But we hate money, so who cares? Hey, what if Arthas and Evitel is literally just one of those dogs or something in the Maw, and we've killed him already?
A Maw dog?
A Maw dog. And we owned him. And we were like, get out of here, Maw dog. I was like, sorry, Arthas.
You made an Arthas joke.
And a lot of people are wondering what happened to Arthas and Evitel in the Maw. Well, you already killed him. He's dead.
I mean, if they really wanted to bring the house down, they would reveal this with some sort of cinematic. But
I'm predicting the concept art. I've seen this happen before. Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
That to me makes more sense because there's just been no hints of him crossing into our mainline story at the moment. So it could seem out of left field, but also at some point we're gonna that. At some point, Arthas is gonna show up. So why not, right? To me, I don't know. I think there's still hope. It could potentially be through a cinematic, but I think you're much more in what I would consider plausible territory with, hey, here's some concept art of Arthas and some cool new armor or lack thereof, because he's been a bad boy. So we strung him up Bolvar style shirtless. Here he is crawling, or maybe he's been crawling to his knees to, he wasn't in Rep and Drux because he went to the Maw, so never mind. That doesn't work.
And at this stage, where we're into high concept predictions, I'd just like to reiterate my prediction that at some stage we might well fight an Anduin style boss fight, which is kind of like a semi recreation of Arthas. And once we down him, we will get a cinematic where he is like that, and then Varian's ghost comes to him and cups his head in his hands, and he says, Father, is it over? And Varian says, no. There's a war to win. Get up. And then comes back and he's a goodie again.
And then it's full on like Dragon Ball Z, like Vegeta and Goku teaming up, and behind Anduin is Sylvanas wielding the new Morn blade, and then Arthas somehow like got a fragment of Frostmourne.
Yeah.
We're all just teaming up.
I just feel like I can't repeat this prediction enough, because you know what's going to happen. It's going to come true, and then Belial will make 12 videos about it, and everyone will think it was his prediction. And I just want to get this out there at every opportunity I can. Okay, like that's the prediction that's going to happen. Everyone, give me your love.
I like it.
All over.
I like it.
Yeah.
Good.
How wonderful. Well, that was a good show, wasn't it?
It was. I hope everyone enjoyed our deep dive into Blizzard needing to spend a little more time in production. That's not where I thought this talk was going to go, by the way, but then we ended up there, and I just wanted to geek out about production quality, because it's a place my brain lives.
Oh, yeah,
every hour of every minute of every day.
If I'm honest with you. Oh, speaking of jank, your camera just turned.
Yeah, camera's gone. It overheated.
That's
Here we
not
are.
even my fault. That wasn't even me. Well, that's a good time to finish, I think. But I want to make it clear. I am very much looking forward to the BlizzConline jank. And if there isn't BlizzConline online jank, I'm going to be very upset. I'm going to be very upset by the lack of jank. So,
as will I.
Yeah. And you're right, because what they should... Oh, wow, this is like a whole new world. What they should do is they should record it all in advance. But we've seen that they don't do that. They always like to do this stuff live. So I think there's going to be some beautiful jank. I can't wait.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it as well. It's good. It'll certainly be unlike any BlizzCon before it. And you know what we didn't say that there will definitely be. This is going to be a 100% accurate prediction. There will be memes.
Let them flow.
The memes will flow.
Absolutely.
Well, Taliesin, before we wrap this up, if folks are somehow completely unaware of where to find your wonderful other World of Warcraft content, where can everyone find you?
You can find us on YouTube at Taliesin and Evitel Do Games. Find us on Twitch on Taliesin and Evitel. That's where you can watch this show being recorded live as well when it works. And find us on Twitter at Taliesin and Evitel. Yeah, just Google it, man. You'll find us. It's pretty easy.
Great. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. You can follow me on there. This podcast and every single other darn one that I produce can be found over at amove.tv. There's a lot of Blizzard podcasts over there, so go check it out. And one of them, our Hearthstone podcast, The Angry Chicken, just turned 400, and that episode was fun as hell. And even if you're not into Hearthstone, we did have Celestial on a roundtable last week, because he is now over on the Hearthstone team. So you should go check that out. If you want to be a part of this show, you can write in wowkillercast@gmail.com. If you want to catch it on YouTube because you're a podcast listener, but you're like, I want to see Garrett's camera overheat. Go to youtube.com/wowkiller. We can be found over there. Wherever you're getting this show, please subscribe, whether it's audio, podcast, video, or otherwise, because then you just get it automatically every week. And that's how you can support the show, and that's how you can help us grow. So thanks so much for listening, everybody. And until next week, good luck and have fun.